Hello again, everyone. Here again to bring you another look at Limbus Company, where this time we're gonna be tackling Chapter 1, or Canto 1, to put it more specifically. Now, if I recall correctly, Cantos 1, 2, and 3 were part of Season 1, which is a bit confusing, but obviously Project Moon was not at all ready to really tackle a project like this. So Season 1 was Cantos 1, 2, and 3, but every canto after had its own season, and after 4, or maybe even during 4, I don't remember it that well, they were roughly split in between 3 parts. So Canto 4 was Season 2, Canto 5, Season 3, and so on. Right now we're on the cusp of Season 6, but that's a long while away yet. For now, we're taking a look at Canto 1, which, spoilers, does not go very well for our boy Gregor. But enough dallying, let's go on and get into it, shall we?
하루가 저물어가는 동안 나는 그저 서 있을 뿐이었어.
Alright, nice, some more tickets. Ooh, and more experience too. Oh, nice, some more lunacy. Now, we're not going to make any more pulls unless we have to, because needless to say, I am not that skilled a player. But for now, let's go and get into it. Unless I'm mistaken, didn't that say 2-12 before? I'll need to look it up. I might be completely losing my mind there, but I could have swore that this said something different on the first couple of videos. Either way, let's get on with it. Canto 1, or Chapter 1, The Outcast. 984-01, it's a bit tricky, but that is the dating system of this world. D Corp, District 4. Chapter 1-1, Vroom Vroom.
베르,
Aboard Mephistopheles. Bus driver Charon. Verg.
앞에 장애물이 있어. 부릉부릉. 해도 돼?
Blockage ahead. Permission to vroom vroom. The chatter was what finally got me to open my eyes. After all, nothing beats blocking out your sight when you want to keep boredom at bay. That's a recurring theme, blocking your sight. Not that there was much else to do on a bus whose destination was unknown to me. My lack of head and memory certainly don't help either.
그래, 계속 지나가자고.
Alright, let's proceed.
덜컹덜컹.
Okay, here come bumpity bumps.
비싼 세정제야. 베르가 큰맘 먹었다고 그랬어.
Expensive washer fluid. Verg said he paid a fortune. Wow. They weren't kidding if it can dissolve viscera that easily. The clumps stuck to the window gently dissolve, letting light through. Many different sets of eyes on the bus are lethargically facing forward. It felt like a pretty gruesome scene, but based on the others' reactions, maybe this kind of violence is common in the city. Hey. It felt rather awkward to close my eyes again now that I was wide awake. That's when the conspicuously bearded man grabbed my attention. But, I mean glasses. Know where we're going right now? A feature far more conspicuous than his beard made me slip.
방금 벌레 양반이라고 부르려고 했지?
His beard is barely there. Come on. You almost called me bug guy, didn't you?
다시 한번 말하자면 내 이름은 그레고르요.
Once again, my name is Gregor.
당신이 시계 대가리가 아니라 단테라고 불리듯이
The same way you're called Dante and not Clock Face. I couldn't find any excuses, so I just gave back a light nod.
어이, 기사 양반, 우리 지금 어디로 가는 거야?
Say, bus girly, where are we headed?
다시 한번 말하자면 내 이름은 카론이요.
Once again, my name is Carol.
당신이 벌레 양반이 아니라 그레고르라고 불리듯이.
The same way you're called Gregor and not Bug Guy. She got you there, Gregor.
건전도 못 건졌네.
She really did.
베르가 말했어.
Verg said,
수감자들은 사구로 간다.
the sinners will go to District 4.
사구! 방금 사구라고 말했는가?
What? Oh! Did District 4 fall upon my ears?
그곳은 연두낭자의 출신지로 유명하지. 영웅의 발자취는 그때부터 시작되었다네. 바야흐로.
That place is known to be the home of the Grass Maiden. 'Tis the origin of the heroine's journey, and 'twas, If Grass Maiden is referring to someone already established in the lore, I unfortunately do not know of it.
아까부터 시끄럽게 쫑알쫑알.
Bloody hell, you're rattling on and on and on.
입 다물고 조용히 좀 가지.
Can't you just shut up and let the trip go in peace?
나는 아까까지 입을 다물고 있었네만.
Why, I had remained silent until mere moments ago.
말 대답하지 말라고.
I said to shut up.
이봐요. 본인이 더 시끄럽다는 건 알아요?
Sorry, did you happen to realize you're being louder here?
죽어도 살아난다고 해서 아프지 않은 건 아니야. 한 번만 더 주둥이 놀려봐.
Even if you can't die, you sure as hell can suffer, no? So say that again.
옳은 말을 했는데도 돌아오는 게 폭력이라니. 수준 알만하네요.
I say the right thing and your first response is violence. Shows how refined you are. I contemplated for a second. Should I step in? Is this the part where I exercise my authority as the manager with dignity and grace? A faint memory urges me to do something. Now, guys, it's inadvisable to lose your Heathcliff and Ishmael, down. Grr.
모분초도
Tranches. Admit, I don't remember what that means.
모가지를 분질러야 조용해지지. 도야지 같은 새끼들.
To write against noisy crying hogs entails scragging. Scragging? What the heck is... That is not a word. I am looking that up. Scrag. Handle roughly, beat up. It is a word. Gosh dang it, Ryoshi. That was a very odd noise. Like a deep exhalation of smoke.
이유 없는 폭력은 용서받을 수 없다네. 그대는 내가 응징하지.
Senseless violence shan't be forgiven. I will bring about justice.
아, 이럴 줄 알았어. 옷에 피가 튀었잖아. 저기, 꼭 내 옆에서 싸워야겠어?
Oh, I knew this would happen. It left a spot on my clothes. Look, do you guys really have to fight next to me? They're way too used to this semi-immortality thing. I must be mad. Resurrective immortality, actually. We haven't reached our destination, and they've already killed 3. Of our own, that is.
이거 잠깐 한눈이라도 팔려고 하면 사고를 치는군.
Can't take a small break without anticipating trouble, can I?
너희 넷 이번 달 버스 청소다.
You 4, cleaning duty for the next month.
어째서? 본인은 정의를 구현했을 뿐인 것을.
Such unfairness! I merely sought the hand of justice.
잠깐! 내 옷 빨래도 포함시켜줘. 피는 와인이랑은 다르게 잘 안 빠진단 말이야. 심, 비싼 건데.
Oh, also, tell them to do my laundry too. Blood doesn't wash off as easily as wine stains. Sheesh, dry cleaning's costly. Actually, in my experience of bleeding onto my own clothes, I think wine is actually the tougher stain to remove here. No one bats an eye at the lifeless janitors to be littering the floor. Maybe they're already taking their indefinite revivals for granted. You think? But I don't even know how exactly I'm supposed to bring them back. So they haven't even taken... So they don't even know for sure that it's indefinite or infinite.
단테, 시계를 돌려주시겠습니까?
Dante, I'd like you to turn the clock back. Turn the clock.
그런 모양새면 어리둥절한 표정이라는 건가? 기억해두죠.
That must mean there's a puzzled look where your face should be. I'll keep that in mind.
파우스트 씨,
Miss Faust. Virgilius gives Faust a tired nod and gestures to me. She let out a small sigh, but still came to my seat, probably out of a sense of obligation.
처음 만났던 날에도 당신이 했던 일을 말하는 거예요, 단테. 그때는 본능으로 해냈던 거겠지만
It's the same thing you did the day we first met, Dante, though I suppose that was more of an instinctual reaction.
자, 다시 해보죠. 눈을 감으세요.
Now, let's try again. Close your eyes. Though I have no eyes to close, blocking out my sight is something I've done. I had no reason not to follow Faust's instruction here.
사실 문은 어디에나 있어요.
In fact, the door is everywhere. Not true.
그러나 당신에게만 보이죠. 왜냐하면 당신의 하늘엔 별이 지지 않았으니까.
However, only you can see it, for the stars never set in your sky. At that, I felt a thread of light creep into my sight. As if to open my eyes, I embraced that light. Then I saw a space. I was alone there. And a massive door stood before me. It wasn't a pleasant sight. Suffocating heat and agonized cries seep through the gap. Hearing the endless laments and wailing for even a split second makes me feel faint. However, I'm approaching the door, grasping at its handles as if it's what I was born to do. Despite being seemingly heavy, pulling it open was surprisingly easy. I grope about in the door. Thousands upon thousands of last wails lay within. And, reaching inside, I grab a few unknown hands. I can feel the histories of different sins bearing their brands crawl up my hand onto my arm.
고통을 나눌 준비가 되었나요?
Art thou prepared to share the pain? Could that have been a question, or rather, pressure to comply? I pulled forth the sinners, grasping my hand with all my strength. Urgh. A terrible pain spreads through my neck and head. It's so crushingly severe, it makes me wish I were dead. Because the injuries sustained were 2 slit throats and 1 head evaporation from what Don Quixote did. The indescribable sensation of bone and muscle twisting and tangling with each other goes on for what feels like an eternity. My legs weren't prepared to endure all this agony. I fell to kneel atop the pool of blood in helplessness. Then I see it. Trembles in the bloody pools, gradually growing into waves and bubbles rising from the floor. Soon, that blood soaking the ground coalesced into 3 masses. Then the agony that seemed to last forever vanished just like that. Turns out someone's first breath can sound an awful lot like their death wail. Ugh. As the lumps of blood rose into the air and flew away, my sight was cleared of dreadful redness, returning to the grumbling bus.
목이 베어졌다가 붙어버린 신경은 어떻지? 두근거리던가?
How does it feel to have your neck? How does it feel to have your head back after it was severed? Was it exciting? Right as Heathcliff is restored to consciousness, he rubs his neck, mutters vulgar words, and approaches Ryoshi. Hold on, I just brought you back and you're going straight into another fight? Heathcliff turns around to glare at me. His eyes are those of a man devoured by blind fury.
어차피 살리는 게 대기 할 일 아닌가?
Isn't it your job to bring us back?
할 거 있으면 그 가짜는 시계대가리째로 부수기 전에 저리 짜져 있어.
If your job's done, then step aside before I knock your dumb clock off.
잠깐만요. 단테 씨가 괴로워하시는 것 같은데 이쯤에서 저...
But please wait. Dante looks like they're in a lot of pain, so he really should... Before he could finish, Heathcliff's steel bat caved in the side of Sinclair's head. I don't think I need to translate death gurgles. The incoherent gurgles of a dying person violated my ears. The sound of pain is a universal language.
시계대가리, 다음번엔 널 으깰 거야. 이만하면 알아들었지?
Next time, Clockface, you're crushed. Are we clear?
정말 생긴 대로라더니 천박하게도 구네요.
You really are as coarse as you look.
한 번 죽어서는 만족을 못하나?
Was dying once not enough for you? Heathcliff tightens his grip on the bat, and Ishmael is ready to swing her weapon as well. Have I seriously become the manager of people who can't be stopped, even by death? Normally that's a good thing, but not when you have to feel their pain. While I was lost in thought, all tension in the bus suddenly dropped and froze over.
이거 아무래도 제대로 교정해둬야겠어.
Ahem. It seems this team's in serious need of discipline. The sinners on a collision course stopped dead in their tracks. A cold pair of red eyes cast their glare between the two.
첫 번째 규칙.
Rule number 1.
버스 안에서는 무기 부딪히는 소리가 들리지 아니한다.
Do not let me hear weapons clashing inside the bus.
이 순간 이후로 이 규칙이 깨어지면
If any of you break this rule as of now,
너희는 내게 제발 죽여달라고 애원하게 될 거야.
you're going to be begging for me to let you die.
난 충분히 그럴 수 있는 사람이야. 알지?
I'm sure you know I'm capable of that and more, right? Sinclair's writhing on the floor was the only sound breaking the silence. Heathcliff glowered, but couldn't bring himself to argue back.
단테, 미안하게 됐습니다. 시계를 한 번만 더 돌려주시죠.
Dante, I'm sorry about this. I need you to rewind one more time. I have to do that again, and again, and again, and again. I'd rather die than to have to bear that harrowing pain once more. I waggled my head in dejection. The faint hint of a smile on Virgilius's face vanishes as his expression shifts.
내가 아직 사과와 부탁을 하고 있을 때 문을 여는 게 좋을 텐데, 관리자 단테.
You'd better open up while I'm still feeling generous enough to ask and offer apologies, Manager Dante.
아, 단지 아픔이 두려운 거라면, 그래서 고개를 젓는 거라면 기꺼이 도와드리겠습니다.
Oh, in case you're refusing simply because you don't want more pain, I can gladly help you with that.
그 정도의 고통에는 눈 하나 깜빡 안 하게 말이죠. 그럼 견딜 수 있지 않겠습니까?
This degree of pain will feel like nothing by the time I'm done. Surely you'll be a tougher person afterward, right?
내가 잘못 들은 건가? 관리자님이 분명 거부 의사를 내비쳤던 것 같은데.
Did I hear correctly? I'm pretty sure our manager clearly declined your request. I don't remember Otis speaking up here.
당신, 끼어드는 박자가 잘못됐군.
You This is not the time to step in.
입사할 때 나의 상관은 네가 아니라 관리자님이라고 분명히 들었다.
I was informed when I joined the company that the executive manager would be my superior, not you.
관리자께서 고개를 저었다면 의미는 충분히 전달되었다고 보는데.
I would say that the manager has made themselves clear with a shake of the head.
그래, 보좌관께서 나서시겠단 말인가?
I see. So their aide has decided to step in. Is that it?
그렇다면 보좌관께도 충분한 의미를 전달해 줘야겠군.
Then it's my turn to make clear what I mean. The red hue of his eyes grew deeper, much to my dread. I don't really know what I'm meant to do as a manager, or if I even deserve to take this role. But I felt that I should at least stop things here so we don't get into an even bigger mess. Reviving one should hurt less than reviving 12 at once. Otis, I'll rewind the clock. It's okay. Virgilius noticed me motioning her to stand down and withdrew the red glow from his glare, as if in mutual understanding.
잘 생각하셨군.
Good thinking.
관리자께서 그러시겠다면.
As you wish, manager. Otis seemed to want to add her input, but she promptly backed down and straightened herself out. The red door greeted me again, along with a twisting sensation. I've given up trying to describe the throes I go through. Words can't express it in full anyway.
고맙습니다.
Thank you very much. Sinclair stood up with a pained moan and bowed to me before waddling back to his seat. Dance time. Clear within 10 turns. Select 2 battle to begin the encounter with the currently deployed sinners.
따라갈 준비는 끝났습니다.
저기 질문이 있네.
Pardon me, I have a question. Don Quixote suddenly raised her hand. Shoot.
첫 번째 규칙은 이해했다네. 그럼 두 번째는 무엇인가?
Verily, I understood the first rule well. What is the second rule then?
나 참. 아니 그걸 왜 굳이 나서서 물어보는 거야?
Ah, really? Why are you so eager to learn that? Virgilius gave a cold stare to Ryoshu, who had just lit her cigarette. She looked back at him with a peculiar face.
두 번째 규칙.
Rule number 2.
버스 바닥에 담배꽁초 버리지 마. 자국 남으니까.
Don't litter the bus floor with cigarettes. They leave burn marks. Ha. The bus falls silent again.
잠깐. 버스에 정적이 흐르면 안 되지. 엔진 소리는 어디 갔나?
Now wait a second. The bus shouldn't be this quiet. Where's the engine's roar?
캐론, 왜 속도를 안 내는 거지?
Charon, why aren't you speeding up?
밥이 없어. 메피가 배고파해.
No food. Mephi is hungry.
잘 됐군. 분위기를 좀 환기시키지.
Good. We could use something to lift the mood. Are we dropping by a gas station? The idea of Virgilius casually plugging a fuel nozzle into the bus like an average driver felt alien.
차가 움직이려면 연료가 필요하지.
A car needs fuel to run.
캐론, 헤드라이트를 깜빡거려봐. 무대 조명처럼.
Charon, try flashing the headlights a bit, like stage lights.
댄스 타임이야.
It's dance timey.
잠깐. 헤드라이트까지 켜면 습격받기 딱 좋은 상황이잖아요.
Wait, if we do that, we're effectively asking to be attacked.
그걸 노린 거군.
That appears to be the intent.
네?
Sorry? I could hear someone slam the bus outside.
에이! 가진 거 다 놓고 내려. 30초 준다. 10, 9.
Number nuts hooligan. Oi, leave all your stuff behind and get off. You got 30 seconds. 10, 9. I see why they call him number nuts.
이봐! 20이 빠졌잖아.
Sharp hooligan. Hey, you skipped 20 of them.
그럼 20초 동안은 기도나 하고 있어라.
We'll say your prayers for the other 20.
왜 이렇게 주변에 모자란 사람들이 많은 건지.
Why am I surrounded by dullards left and right?
뭐라고 했냐?
What'd you just say?
비겁하게 습격을 하다니. 틀림없는 악인들이로군.
How cowardly of them to ambush us. They must be villains without a shadow of a doubt.
자, 다들 내려.
Alright, everyone off.
그리고 말이야. 최대한 죽지 않을 만큼만 해줘. 알지?
And one more thing. We want them near death, not dead. Got it? Chaining multiple skills with the same affinity, color, and the same turn will activate what is known as resonance. Connect these skills with the same affinities and activate resonance. Resonance. Chaining two or more skills with the same affinity in the same turn will activate what is known as resonance.
표정에 따라 실행한다.
순조로운 좋은 전략.
지금이 기회입니다.
Chaining three or more adjacent skills with the same affinity activates absolute resonance. Try activating absolute resonance using these skills. Absolute resonance. Chaining three or more adjacent skills with the same affinity in the same turn will activate what is known as absolute resonance. Activating resonance slightly enhances affected skills based on the number of skills linked in the resonance chain. Skills closer to the right end of the dashboard receive greater boosts. Activating absolute resonance guarantees that every skill in the resonance chain receives a boost, but not those indirectly attached.
해보기는 할게요. 안 되면 어쩔 수
지금이
없지만요.
기회입니다.
좋은 전략입니다.
늘 새롭다니까요.
Each unit has a unique passive. Select Faust to view her passive.
무슨 일인가요, 관리자님?
Select the Sinner's skill tab. Select the passive button here to view its activation conditionals and effects. Faust passive is a resonance passive. The conditionals for these passives can be met by activating resonance that was explained earlier. Analytic Eye, 2 Pride Resonance. Deal plus 10% damage to units with negative status effects. Please activate the Resonance passive by activating Resonance for the necessary affinity. Faust passive requires 2 or more Pride Indigo Resonance. Indigo? It just looks blue. Well, like a dark blue to me, but whatever.
행동을 개시합니다.
좋은 전략입니다. 순조로운 전략입니다.
판단을 부탁합니다.
Let us take a look at a different type of passive. These icons in the top left corner of the screen also show the list of available passives. Select Mersault's icon highlighted here. Staunchness. 7 of 2 sloth owned. At less than 50% HP, gain 1 protection at the start of the combat phase. Sinner's Mersault passive is an owned passive. Owned passives activate automatically each turn, provided you have enough ego resources to meet the requirement. This passive requires that you own 2 sloth yellow resources. Use a skill to gain an ego resource corresponding to that skill's affinity, viewable here. Since we gathered enough sloth yellow ego resources in the previous turn, this owned passive is already activated. Currently active passives will be highlighted. Support passives. Sinners that have been sufficiently upgraded can assist the deployed sinners through their support passive. Support passives, like regular passives, have resonance and owned conditionals.
해보기는 할게요.
좋은
안
전략이
되면 어쩔 수 없지만요.
순조로운 전략이 좋은 전략입니다. 관리자님의 99% 명령과 1%의 제 실력이 합쳐진 결과였습니다.
This was 99% your brilliant leadership and 1% my competence. The bus deck. Player with intent turn. Select 2 battle to begin the encounter with the currently deployed sinner.
규정이라면 따르겠습니다.
Just notice his eye. With a guttural noise, the side of the bus lurches and splits open. Oh, so that's why it can't feed itself by simply plowing straight forward. They put the gas tank in the side. A number of human shapes littered the ground before its maw. Some were still conscious, while others weren't exactly in one piece. Then, the bus began devouring those served to it in the most literal sense, gluttonously, voraciously. Ryoshu watched it with a satisfied expression, seemingly determined to savor every moment. While in the corner of my eye, Sinclair was clearly distressed.
다들 제정신이 아닌 것 같아요. 그렇지 않나요?
They all look like they're out of their minds. Don't you think so too? His reaction got me curious to know their stories. Just to make sure, none of you were forced to join, right? Though what I was involved in before my head's change is a mystery, I myself was practically forced to join the company, judging from what I know at the moment. And maybe they aren't so different from me, or so I thought, when... Sinclair's head drooped in response, like I struck a nerve.
그래요. 맞아요. 이건 제 선택이죠. 전부 익숙해질 거야. 그렇지?
That's right. It was by my choice. I'll get used to all this, right? He muttered as if he were talking to someone other than me.
입사하지 않았어도 했을 일이요. 저기! 또 악의 무리가 달려드네!
'Tis what I would have done even if the company recruited me not. Look, yon horde of evil approaches. In addition to attack skills, each unit also has defense skills. Lightly tap a Sinner's portrait at the bottom of the dashboard to swap their bottom skill with a defense skill. First, let's try selecting Sinner Mersault's first portrait to generate a guard skill. Defense skills. Guard. Use the guard skill to gain shield equal to its power. Damage will be absorbed by the shield first before affecting the unit's HP. Now select Faust's portrait to generate an evade skill. Defense skills. Evade. When using a evade skill, if its final power is greater than or equal to that of the enemy's skill, the unit will completely ignore the enemy's attack, taking no damage from it. Evade skills flip their coin once for every enemy coin flip. Warning: if an evade type defense skill's final power is lower than the enemy's attack, it will fail and the enemy's attack will strike with full force. Finally, select Heathcliff's portrait to generate a counter skill. Defense skills. Counter. Counter skills allow the enemy to strike first, then perform an unopposed attack against the attacker. Warning: if the unit is staggered by the enemy's attack, the counter will not activate. Lightly tap the Sinner's portrait again to cancel the generated defense skill. Let us demonstrate the effects of each defense skill in this battle. Chain the defense skills, then start the combat phase.
규정에 따라 실행합니다.
When used under the right circumstances, defense skills can be even more effective than clashing or attacking enemies. However, poorly timed use of these skills can put the Sinners at great risk. Also, please note that Sinners will not select their defense skills unless you personally issue a direct command. Keep this in mind when using the auto skill chaining functions. Yeah, what that means is, look, I can set every skill to defense skill, and if I use either of these buttons, it'll avoid them like the plague. And just to prove that I wouldn't have picked all the top anyway. See? I generally, as long as I'm feeling safe enough, I generally only use defense skills if the prediction says that I am struggling or hopeless against something.
규정에 따라 실행합니다.
Ooh, did I hear chains rattling from assault? That's new, I think.
간다.
다음 판단을 부탁합니다.
행동을 개시합니다.
떠냐? 쉽네. 쉽네. 보여? 마구잡이로 때려 부숴놨지.
See that? I did a real bang-up job. Manager level increased, and Keflin capacity up from 60 to 63, and Keflin has been refilled. Thankfully, that means that it gets overfilled by the amount that was already there, so you never get cheated. Enkephalin. Needless to say, Enkephalin is basically a universal resource, but here it is your fuel. Am I actually allowed? Well, it seems to allow me, so I'm gonna put in my new ID. Alright. Let's go with
따뜻하게 혹은 뜨겁게.
And you.
최선을 다해볼게.
But that does leave me critically low on sloth. But it'll be fine.
배부르게 밥을 먹은 지가 언제더라. 기계 덩어리 팔자가 더 낫네.
Gee, when was the last time I had a feast? Even a big blocky machine eats better than we do.
제공되는 식사는 모두 상량이에요.
Do mind that all meals are provided with appropriately determined quantities.
그 정도 먹어서는 기운이 안 난단 말이야.
It's not nearly enough to get me going. I thought I heard Heathcliff shout, "You think I'm doing this on a full stomach?" in the distance, but Rhodia seemed to pretend she heard nothing. Speaking of, does this bus run on stuff like blood or protein?
엔케팔린이에요. 로보토미 코퍼레이션에서 추출했던 에너지죠.
It's enkephalin, an energy source Lobotomy Corporation treated. That's a very unusual word choice here. Treated, not created or produced or even sourced or distributed. Treated. Odd.
이전 엘사 말이군요. 특이점으로 에너지를 생산하는 회사라고 들었어요. 엘사가 몰락한 지금은 잔해밖에 남지 않았지만.
You mean the previous L-Corp? I heard it produced energy using its singularity, though all that remains of the company now is rubble. That's strange. Why would they call it the previous L-Corp? Because there's been like two L-Corps. There's the old L-Corp in the timeline, which was also a power production company that seemed to emphasize in smoke, while the current and now fallen L-Corp produced power through enkephalin production through monster management, with a bunch of vagaries in between here and there. But the point is, at this point in time, nothing has sprung up to take L-Cor's place. So why do they call it the previous one? Even if it's fallen, it's still the most current one.
맞아요. 그래서 지금은 구하기가 꽤 힘들어요.
That's right, which is why it's become a rarity these days.
하지만 메피스토펠레스는 신체에서 엔케팔린을 강제로 추출할 수 있죠.
However, Mephistopheles is capable of forcibly extracting enkephalin from the body through a process known as the grinder. Not the grinder, what are those things called? Well, you saw it, the ones with the big blocky gears that grind up various materials. The body. I posed a question, watching Otis give his orders to the other sinners, then glancing to the maw of the bus in turn.
네, 엔케팔린은 뇌와 척수신경에서만 추출돼요. 특히나 생명 활동이 있을수록 효율이 좋죠.
Correct. Enkephalin can only be extracted from the brain and the spinal nerves. It can be taken from live subjects for greater efficiency. To be clear, enkephalin is a real brain chemical. I don't recall its exact purpose for now. I think it's one of the ones that you could possibly live without, but not without some serious effects to your quality of life. So that's why Virgilius told the sinners not to kill the assailants. Okay, and...
그럼 해당 부위만 먹여도 되는 거 아니야? 라기엔 피와 근육도 연료로 쓰일 수 있어요.
If why the rest of their body is what you're thinking, there is a point, as their blood and flesh can also be processed into fuel.
엔케팔린이 시동과 추력을 위해서 필요하다면 나머지 생체 물질은 순항할 때 사용되죠. 엔케팔린이 되도록 천천히 소모되게 하기 위한 설계죠.
While enkephalin is used to generate ignition and thrust, the remaining organic matter is spent on maintaining speed, thus reducing enkephalin usage. So like using a gas power generator to start a diesel engine.
하이브리드요.
A hybrid. Thank you, Yiseng. Surprising sense of humor, this one. Faust went on to explain how most of the vehicle's fuel is taken from the branch facilities, and that it won't be a sufficient source on its own. But most of it went in one non-existent ear, and out the other non-existent ear. Well, that's complicated. I got that it's tough work, at least.
뭘요? 파우스트는 고생하지 않는답니다.
Don't mention it. Faust knows no struggle.
고생은 우리가 하고 있지. 이봐, 관리자 양반 또 온다고.
If anyone's doing the heavy lifting, it'd be us. Hey, Manager Bud, more incoming. Min, mid, max. Adjusting density of information on screen during combat. At the top right of the in-battle screen, there is a button that adjusts the amount of information displayed. The three options set the display density to minimum, medium, or maximum respectively. Max, the maximum information display configuration, and also the default. This is the default setting applied when first starting the game. There you go. More information is shown compared to the other two settings. Details on keywords used in skills are shown as well. Mid, the medium information display configuration. In this setting, details on keywords used in skills will not be shown. Otherwise, it functions the same as the maximum setting. Min, the minimum information display configuration. In this setting, information on effects and keywords of skills will not be displayed. Basically, unless you're trying to get a cleaner picture, there is never any reason to set this to anywhere other than max. Which is good, because that's the default.
좋아, 간다.
결국 끝나지 않아.
한 건 했다. 맛있는 거 준비해줘, 단테.
좋아, 간다.
균형이 무너졌군요. 좋은 결투였다.
I don't remember that, but I'll tell you that much. Ooh, there you go, Gregor.
완전한 침묵. 완전한 침묵.
좋은 결투였다.
Boom.
깔끔한 전투였어요. 적의 모든 급소를 파악했거든요.
That was a smooth battle. I was able to see through all the enemy's weaknesses. Oh, and I should let you know, unless I'm mistaken, I think enemies only explode into chunks like that if you deal more than their total max health in one coin flip. But I could be wrong. Yuri. Same choices as before, yes.
끌어넘칠 시간이군요.
어이, 적당히 끝내라. 곧 손님이 방문할 거야.
Hey, that's enough of that. We're expecting a guest any time now. Virgilia said, poking his head out the window. A guest? Who?
처음으로 가는 던전이니까 길잡이가 필요할 것 같아서요.
I've determined that we'll need a guide as this is our first trip to a dungeon.
저 혹시 림버스 컴퍼니에서 오신 분들 맞나요?
Excuse me, are you the people from Limbus Company? A grade 8 fixer. As far as I'm aware, this is very old information and as such might be outdated or proven false, but I do believe that Yuri's design here was originally concept art for one of the sinners, but that turned into their own character by the end. Could be wrong. Excuse me, are you the people from Limbus Company? I already said that. Someone approaches us slowly.
맞나 보네요.
Looks like it. The bus had just about finished its meal, crunching on the last remaining bone chips. Yuri watched it indifferently before introducing herself.
예전 엘사에서 근무했던 유리예요. 잘 부탁합니다.
I'm Yuri, a former employee of the previous L Corps. I look forward to working with you. By L Corps, do you mean?
로보토미 코퍼레이션이겠군.
Has to be Lobotomy Corporation.
네, 우리는 로보토미 코퍼레이션. 구 엘사의 옛 지부들로 향합니다.
That's right. We will explore the former branch facilities of Lobotomy Corporation, also called the Old L Corps, which is also the name of the previous smoke-producing corporation. These.
저라면 불러도 절대 안 왔을 것 같은데.
If I were you, I wouldn't have taken part in this.
추락한 날개라니. 분명 끝이 좋지 않았을 텐데요.
Being a fallen wing and everything, I doubt your employment ended on pleasant terms.
무슨 소리야? 날개고 뭐고 돈만 함께라면 뭐든 유쾌한 기억이 된다고.
What are you on about? Any point in your life can be pleasant as long as you've money to spend.
거기는 아직도 괴물로 득실된다는 소문이 있던데.
I've heard those places are still teeming with monsters to this day.
괴물이 아니라 환상체요. 어쨌든 사실이에요. 하지만 더 중요한 것들이 있죠.
Not monsters, abnormalities. The rumors are true either way, but there are more important matters.
지부 가장 깊숙한 곳에 최근에 피어나기 시작한 엘사의 기술의 핵심 정수가 존재해요.
In the deepest reaches of these branches are neoplastic plant-like growths holding the essence of L-Cor's technology. Neoplastic.
단테, 며칠 전에 내가 제안했던 걸 기억합니까? 성의를 새기게 해줄 거라고 말했는데.
Dante, if you remember, I believe I offered to let you finish engraving your aspect a few days ago.
정수, 황금가지를 모아온다면 그 정도는 어려운 일도 아니게 될 겁니다.
With the essence, those golden bows in our hands, it'll be as easy as pie. The word aspect still makes my head ache. What was I trying to do?
억지로 떠올리려고 할 필요는 없습니다. 그때가 되면 전부 알게 될 테니까요.
There's no need to rouse your brain trying to remember what you can't. It'll all come back in due time. I returned a slow nod to Faust's placid advice. Alright, for now I should focus on what I currently know and see. And if it's Lobotomy Corp we're scouring, we might find some in Keflon too.
아, 그러면 더 이상 사람들을 갈아 넣지 않아도 되겠네요.
Oh, does that mean we won't have to feed people into our vehicle?
거기다가 운이 좋으면 에고까지 얻을 테니 일석삼조네요.
We could also grab some ego if we're lucky, so that's 3 rats with 1 stone. Ego is commonly known. I don't remember her saying that before. Ego? That's another unknown term that makes my head tilt. But in any case, it seemed rather rude to keep talking to each other when we had a guest on board. And someone else seemed to agree.
유리 씨는 무슨 일 하며 지냈나?
So, Miss Yuri, what have you been up to since the layoff? Gregor gave his best shot at making some conversation with a well-meaning smile to put the newest passenger at ease. His brow seemed to twitch to a lack of practice, but it's no big deal.
내가 보아하니 그대는 해결사일 것 같소. 그들에게서는 모두 고결한 영웅의 냄새가 난다고 하더군.
It appears to me that thou art an honorable fixer. It is said that all fixers exude the noble scent of heroes. As Yuri was nodding lightly, I heard Ishmael let out a deep sigh.
어디서 그런 소식을 들었는지 모르겠지만 해결사는 그런 영웅들이 아니에요. 초라한 봉급자의 부질없는 냄새라면 몰라도.
I don't know who gave you that idea, but fixers are anything but noble or heroic. The only scent you'll smell is the miserable stink of wage slaves. Implying the money is steady.
금세 다른 밥벌이 찾는 게 쉽진 않았을 텐데 용케 해냈군.
It couldn't have been easy to find another job so soon. Good that you're holding up.
아직은 계약직이에요.
For now, I'm just a contract worker.
아하, 굳이 다시 이곳으로 기어들어온 이유도 그거였겠네요.
Aha, that explains why you decided to crawl on back there. I'm sensing some needless hostility from you, Ishmael.
예전 직장으로 돌아가서 크게 한탕이라도 치면 팀장 자리라도 주겠대요?
Did they promise to promote you to team leader or something if you struck gold in your former workplace?
실적을 세우면 계약 기간은 늘어날지도 모르죠.
My contracts might get extended if I return with results.
그렇지. 보통 계약직 시절은 실적 하나에 목숨을 걸어야 할 때니까.
Right. A good result is something to risk your life for if you want to earn a permanent spot.
아, 그거 참 부질없는 목숨이네요.
Ah, and what a futile life that is.
어이, 아까부터 왜 이렇게 비꼬는 거야? 뭐가 그렇게 마음에 안 들어?
Hey, what's with the sarcasm? Is something a problem?
글쎄요. 처음부터 끝까지 마음에 안 드는 거 천지라.
I don't know. I have a problem with every single thing I'm hearing right now. Seemingly unaffected by the abrasive attitude, Yuri quietly took an empty seat. Looking back and forth between the two, Gregor returned to his seat as well, scratching his head. I can't seem to get used to being around these people.
빨리 배어드는 편이 편할 겁니다, 단테.
It will be beneficial for you to adapt to them sooner than later, Dante.
그럼 출발하지. 손님께서 자리에 앉았다.
Caron, time to go. Our guest has taken her seat.
메피 배 빵빵. 카론도 빵빵.
Mephi's thumb revived. Caron's raring to drive. Ooh, we're getting our first battle announcer dialogue. Normally these are voiced, but Dante doesn't have a voice, so.
금방 다녀올게.
결투는 균형이 무너졌고 불타올랐군요.
좋아, 간다.
좋은 결투.
Head hooligan, sharp hooligan, famished hooligan, number nuts hooligan. So you're the idiot.
부드럽게.
Come on, Gregor, you're better than this.
이 정도야.
자, 불타올랐군요.
딱 좋은 결투였다. 결투는 끝나지 않아.
한 건 했다. 맛있는 거 준비해줘, 단테.
There we go.
압도했습니다. 제 기존 검술보다 한층 더 향상된 기술을 쓸 수 있었다고 생각합니다. 시청자의 수가 대폭 증가하겠군요.
An overwhelming victory. I believe that my skills with the blade have grown much since my previous attempt. This will surely result in increased viewership.
빨리 끝내고 밥 먹으러 가자고.
근데
Sorry to ask.
지도는 제게 있는데요. 길은 어떻게 알고 가는 건가요?
But if I had the map, how do you know what roads to take? Answerless, the bus keeps speeding anyway.
그건 말이지.
We do have something to lead us.
감이지. 카룬의 감.
Intuition. Charon's intuition.
네?
What?
분홍머리. 카룬 앞을 이상한 종이로 막는 이유가 뭐야?
Pinky hair, explain why you keep rubbing that odd paper in Charon's face. I am actually gonna take down the UI. That's what this button is called. Plushes. And that's another one. Is that her favorite, perhaps?
계속 이상한 방향으로 가니까 그렇죠. 이 지도를 보세요. 우리가 가는 쪽은 남동쪽 방향인데.
Because you keep going in weird directions. Take a look at this map. Our destination is to the southeast of here. Charon reluctantly gives the map a cursory glance, as she couldn't ignore the thing right in front of her eyes.
마음이 향하는 곳, 그곳에 진짜 길이 있을지니.
Follow the heart. That's where the true path lies.
옳소! 우리는 모두 마음이 향하는 곳으로 나아가야만 하네.
Here, here. We all must follow as our hearts lead.
그냥 지도 보는 법도 모르는 길치라는 거잖아요.
You're just admitting that you can't read a map.
제가 하고 싶은 말을 대신 해주실 줄이야.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Yuri and Ishmael put a palm over their respective faces at the same time, almost like they were in sync.
오, 우리 기사님 친구라도 생겼나 봐.
Ooh, did our driver make a new friend?
분홍머리가 계속 제잘거려. 난 길을 알고 있단 말이야.
Pinky keeps on blabbing. I know the way.
아니 그러니까 방향이 잘못.
No, I mean you're going the wrong direction.
앞에 또 장애물이야. 부릉부릉 할까?
Look ahead. More obstacles. Do I vroom vroom?
아니, 카론. 기다려봐.
No, Charon. Wait 1 second.
어이! 버스가 근사해 보이는데 나도 좀 타보자.
Looky. Nice bus you got there. Why don't you give me a ride?
메피스토펠레스의 후식 시간인 모양이군.
I guess Mephistopheles could use a helping of dessert.
내리지. 아직 밥을 더 먹여야겠어.
Get on down. It needs to be fed just a bit more.
금방 다녀올게.
균형이 무너졌군요.
재밌겠구만.
I wonder if the hotkey is unlocked good. Alright, so if you're on computer, P presses the first button. Like, it cycles through these. So, P, win rate, P again, damage, then it deselects everything.
딱 좋은 결투.
부드럽게.
꺼냈다. 맛있는 거 준비해줘, 단테.
그 누구도 볼 수 없게.
좋은 결투였다. 좋은 결투였다. 압도했습니다. 제 기존 검술보다 한층 더 향상된 기술을 쓸 수 있었다고 생각합니다. 시청자의 수가 대폭 증가하겠군요.
카론, 이쪽이 동쪽일까요? 서쪽일까요?
Now, Carl, tell me, is this east or west?
카론은 두 가지 방향만 알아. 메피의 앞쪽과 뒤쪽.
Carl only knows two directions, Mephi's front and back.
지금까지 방향도 모르는 사람이 어떻게 운전기사를 했대요?
How did you come so far with a driver who has zero sense of direction?
카론, 그러니까요. 해가 뜨는 쪽이...
Carl, like I said, the sun rises from. At the driver's seat, the three heads gather together over a map. Well, one of them might have been at a slightly different elevation from the others.
꼬맹이, 너도 저기 끼어 있어야 하는 거 아니야?
Chiquita, aren't you gonna join them too?
무례한 소리! 난 어린이가 아니라네! 꼬맹이는 더더욱 아니고!
I beg your pardon. I am no child, and most certainly not little. Watching Don Quixote shake her fist sky high at Rhodia, I noticed a bitter gaze falling upon them out of the corner of my view. I'm starting to think that Yuri gal might have put up with a rough childhood. Gregor turned around to take a glance in my direction, then shook his head and went back to looking at the driver's side with his chin resting on his hand.
딱히 어린 편도 아니야. 일단 칼을 줄 수 있으면 전쟁에 참전부터 시키는 둥지도 있었으니까.
Wouldn't be on the youngest side either. Some nests used to conscript anyone old enough to hold a knife. Nests. A nest was basically the center of a district, if my memory is correct. Sounds like nests used to get into wars with one another in the past. Did that happen often?
아주 없는 일은 아니었지.
Not frequently, but it sure as hell did happen.
관리자 양반, 전쟁에 대해 궁금한 게 많나 봐.
Interested in learning about wars, Manager Bud? Oh, I'm not really curious about the details. Just gathering info I shall know as the manager. As I was about to go on, a glimpse of Gregor's expression I caught from the side stopped me in my tracks. His eyes seemed to be fixed somewhere far more distant than the driver's seat.
그런 자세를 뭐라고 하고 싶은 건 아니야, 관리자 양반. 오히려 좋은 자세 아닐까? 상관의 귀감아닐까 싶은데.
Don't get me wrong, Manager Bud. I'm not trying to criticize you or anything. Heck, it's actually a pretty stand-up attitude for a boss, I'd say. He slowly continued, taking a pack of cigarettes from his pocket.
그래도 개인적으로는 모를 수 있을 때 모르는 게 기회일지도 모른다고 생각해.
Still, ignorance is a gift you should savor while you have it, if you ask me.
일단 알게 되면 다시는 모를 수 없게 될 테니까.
Once you're burdened with knowledge, there's no going back. Unfortunately, not true, but Gregor wouldn't know about that. Without another word, he lit his cigarette.
아니요, 방금 저쪽에서 우회전을 했어야죠.
No, you should have turned right at that intersection.
괜찮아요, 카론. 조금만 더 가서 꺾어도 올바른 길로 갈 수 있어요.
It's okay, Caron. We can turn around at the next junction.
기사의 삶은 고단해.
Ah, the woes of a driver.
뭐 지금 더 급한 건 목적지로 가는 길을 아는 것 같네. 그렇지, 관리자 양반?
Well, looks like we have more pressing matters at hand. Ain't that right, Manager Bud? Gregor cackled with cigarette smoke still in his mouth. I was still curious to learn what he'd been through, but he's right that I should focus on other things for now. An urgent matter showed up right before our bus-shaped doorstep too.
옥신각신을 그쯤 해라. 전방에 다시 적이다.
Enough squabbling now. More enemies inbound.
친구들의 버스에 전화타니 미친 새끼들 제정신이야?
You shoved my pals into that bus, you sick bastards. Are you nuts?
가만 안 둔다. 버스만 가지려고 했는데 너네도 전부 죽인다.
You'll pay for this. We were just gonna leave with a bus, but now I've gotta see you all bleed.
베르, 연료들이 시끄러워. 카론, 2명 이상 시끄러우면 어지러워.
Berg, fuel is making a fuss. Caron will get dizzy if many mouths are being noisy.
걱정할 필요 없다, 카론. 이제부터 조용해질 테니.
Nothing to worry about, Caron. They'll shut their mouths soon enough.
전원 하차.
Off the bus. Hello, head hooligan. Goodbye, head hooligan.
겨우 이 정도야. 꺼냈다. 맛있는 거 준비해줘, 단테.
The sharp hooligan survived until the second game. Not anymore. How can there be two head hooligans? Obviously one of them is not the head. Puzzled veteran. Scruffy veteran. These guys are new if I'm not mistaken. And don't they look familiar?
금방 다녀올게. 꺼냈다. 맛있는 거 준비해줘, 단테.
침묵을 남겨드리죠.
부드럽게 좋은 결투였다. 좋은 결투였다.
Way to go, Mersault.
자, 다시 지도를 보자고요.
Okay, let's look at the map again. Oh,
카론, 딴 좀 피우면 안 된다니까요.
Caron, can you please focus? Looking at the trio arguing over the map once again, a question arose in my mind. By the way, this bus was specifically made for Limbus Company, right?
정확히는 저희들만을 위한 버스라고 해야겠네요.
It was made exclusively for us, to be more precise. Isn't that basically what I said?
그게 그 뜻 아니냐고 생각하고 계신 것 같네요.
You appear to be failing to identify the nuance. That's weird. I don't think I spoke that part out loud. Is the clock broken or something?
그 정도는 째깍이지 않아도 알 수 있어요.
I can tell that much without hearing it verbalized.
파우스트는 모르는 것이 없으니까요.
There is nothing that Faust doesn't know, after all. Anyway, it must have taken a long while to get it out of the oven, especially with that mouth on the side.
예상한 만큼 걸려서 만들었을 뿐이에요.
It only took the expected amount of time. She's downright oppressive to talk to.
파우스트는 천재예요. 도시의 모든 것을 알고 있죠.
Faust is a well-renowned genius. She knows the ins and outs of the city.
어이, 그렇게 뛰어나시다면 저 앞에 가서 길부터 찾아주지 그래. 아까부터 저것들이 시끄러워서 잠을 못 자겠잖아.
Oi, if you're so smart, why don't you help those twits at the driver's side figure out the way? Can't sleep a wink with their constant bickering.
파우스트는 오지랖쟁이가 아니에요. 묻는 것에는 대답하지만 묻지도 않은 것을 말하지는 않아요.
Faust is no meddler. She answers to questions, but doesn't chime in without being asked first. Incorrect buzzer.
그리고 인간이 무언가를 깨닫기 위해 골똘한 고민을 하는 건 가장 즐거운 일이랍니다. 파우스트는 산통을 깨고 싶지 않네요.
Additionally, there is no greater joy for a human being than to ponder on problems in order to grasp an answer. Faust would rather not spoil that delight.
뭘 골똘히 고민을 해봤어야 공감을 하죠.
He wouldn't get it. I doubt he's pondered on anything ever. I saw Heathcliff's grip on the Bad Titan, however. With Virgilius casting a glare his way, he clicked his tongue as he crossed his arms and forced his eyes shut. I wonder why they're so vitriolic.
나랑 마음이 꽤 맞는 것 같네, 관리자 양반.
You and me both, Manager Bud. You and me both. With Gregor snickers, the bus started again.
완벽하네. 오히려 살짝 싱거웠달까?
Manager level increased. Perfection. Heck, I might even say that was below my level. Pests. Select 2 battles to begin the encounter with the currently selected sinners. Currently deployed sinners.
그럴듯한 예술이라면 더 좋을 텐데 말이야.
그래, 혹시 저치들과 아는 사이야?
So there's more tutorial here? 왜? Greg, you know those pals?
응? 무슨... 이 뒷골목에 내가 아는 얼굴이 있을...
Huh? Give me a break. There's no way I know someone in this corner of the back streets. Gregor's face goes dark the moment he looks out the window. Bugheads? Unlike the other miscreants we've run into, they were part insectoid.
단테, 머리가 시계라서 다행이야. 저런 거였음 쳐다볼 때마다 헛구역질했을 것 같아.
Gosh, Dante, thank goodness your head's shaped like a clock. I would have gagged if my manager was a huge bug.
저거 그레고르 씨랑 같은 강화 시술 아니에요?
Isn't that the same type of augmentation you have, Gregor?
저런 징그러운 벌레 대가리를 일부러 붙여놓는다고?
They stitch disgusting insect heads to their necks on purpose?
가까이 붙지 마. 너한테도 해충병 없는다.
You'd better stay away. Wouldn't want to catch the pest, ne?
정말이에요?
Eek, is that true?
장난이야. 내 개그 센스가 이상한 건가?
Just a joke. Does my sense of humor not fly with kids your age? While Gregor was left scratching his head, the bus made a languishing sound and came to a slow, deflating halt.
과거 G사에서는 대부분의 직원들이 그레고르 씨처럼 생체무기 시술을 받았어요.
In the past, G-Corp had procedures on most employees to give them biomimetic weapons like the one Gregor has.
그레고르 씨 예전 G사 출신이었어요? 그때 G사라면
You used to work for the old G-Corp, Gregor? That company must have been. Ishmael frowned as if she remembered something unpleasant, but didn't speak further. Gregor wore a smile on his mouth, but his hardened eyes were resting downcast just as a moment ago.
저런 분들은 평소엔 어디서 주무시는 건가요?
I wonder, where do people like them sleep at night?
세상에는 하늘을 천장 삼고 별을 조명 삼아 사는 사람들도 많은 법이지.
For many, the sky is the roof over their head and the stars are their firelight.
아, 풍류가 있는 분들이로군요.
Aha, so they're the poetic sort. I don't think that's what he meant.
보아하니 저들 역시 우리의 여정을 방해할 마음인가 보군.
And unless my eyes deceive me, they're intent on obstructing our journey.
내려야 하지 않겠어, 그레고르?
Aren't you going to get off, Gregor?
굳이 날 찝어서 말하는 이유는?
Care to explain why you're calling my name specifically?
글쎄, 남의 추억을 내 입으로 떠들고 싶진 않은 걸.
Who knows? I don't feel like rambling about someone else's past with my own tongue.
앞장서, 그레고르. 이유는 네가 잘 알잖아.
Take the lead, Gregor. You know the reason.
고약한 사람이네, 당신.
You're one nasty fellow. A group of soldiers with the heads of insects gather near the bus.
어디 앞장서는 거 별로 안 좋아하는데.
I'm not too fond of being in the vanguard.
넌 뭐야? 왜 우리랑 같은 팔을 가지고 있지?
What are you? Why does your arm look like ours?
가만, 낯익은 얼굴인데.
Hold on. I've seen that face before.
주로 포스터나 잡지에 서식했던 적이 있지.
Mostly on flyers and magazine covers, I'd bet. Gregor, do you know them from somewhere?
그런 게 중요한 건 아닌 것 같은데요, 관리자님. 옛날 이야기할 상황은 아니에요.
Not really important right now, manager. Don't think we have the time for reminiscing.
신경 쓰이긴 하지만 아무렴 어때? 어쨌든 이 앞으로 못 지나간다.
That arm bothers me, but whatever. Point is, I can't let you through. Is that so? I suppose we can't talk this out.
그런데 이것들은 왜 대놓고 벌레 모습인 채로 다니는 거야?
Why are they showing their buggy sides out in the open anyway?
어린애들은 마주치면 눈물부터 터뜨리겠어. 그렉처럼 티라도 덜 나면 좋잖아?
They make kids cry. Really ought to take some concealing lessons from our Greg over here, right?
내가 특이한 케이스야. 대부분은 머리통에 무조건 곤충 부분이 붙어버리거든.
I'm a special case. The procedure makes those buggy parts grow on the head most of the time.
이걸 운이 좋았다고 해야 할지는 모르겠지만.
Although, I'm not sure if I'd consider myself lucky.
이유는 모르겠지만 저 사람들 우리가 로보토미 집으로 향하는 걸 막으려는 것 같았어요.
It feels like they're trying to stop us from getting to the branch facility for some reason.
이들도 황금 가지를 노리는 거야?
Are they after the golden bow too?
그럴지도.
Maybe so.
그 정수를 원하는 자는 널렸으니까.
There ought to be many that are after the essence.
각각이 바라는 소망도 다양할 테고. 그렇지 않나?
And I'm sure each has their own wishes. Isn't that true?
왜 날 쳐다봐? 내가 알 리가 없잖아.
What's that look for? I haven't got a clue either. Let's learn how to use ego. Ego are each sinner's unique skills that can be used regardless of the identity they are wearing. Let's inspect Sinner Heathcliff's ego. Press and hold Sinner Heathcliff's portrait at the bottom of the dashboard. Every ego currently equipped by Sinner Heathcliff are visible here. Using ego skills consumes ego resources and SP. The amount of SP consumed by each ego is listed at the top left corner of its information card. Now select this ego, Body Sack. This loser remembers when base ego used to be free sanity-wise. I'm surprised they took so long to balance that out. It seems we don't have enough ego resources to use this ego skill. Each ego skill requires a certain amount of ego resources to activate. Here you can view the number of ego resources and their affinities required to use this ego skill. It seems that we do not have enough orange lust and purple envy ego resources. View your current ego resource reserves here. The names of each sin affinity for ego resources may still be unfamiliar to you, but you can check with it which is which by selecting each ego sin affinity resistances in the detailed info window. Required ego resources can be obtained by using skills during battle. For example, an envy-colored skill will grant an envy resource. As luck would have it, units currently on the field possess skills with the affinities we need. Put them to use.
출진이다!
Press the win rate button to order the sinners to choose their own skills based on Clash win rate. As you can see here, an enemy is about to launch a powerful attack against Sinner Heathcliff, and it's unlikely he will win this clash. When a unit is about to clash with a difficult enemy skill, you can use an ego skill to turn the situation around. Their high power makes them especially effective against strong enemy skills. If there are any usable ego skills for which you have enough resources, it will be indicated in the shape surrounding the Sinner, as shown here. Press and hold Sinner Heathcliff's portrait again to enter the ego selection menu. You now have enough resources to use this ego skill. Double tap to select his body stack ego skill again and equip it in Heathcliff's skill slot. Once selected, the ego skill will automatically be equipped in the bottom skill slot of the respective Sinner. Equipping a different ego skill in the same slot or swapping it for a defense skill will unequip the current ego skill and refund the ego resources spent to equip it. Now let's return to the battle at hand. Yeah, basically you can think of ego skills as a sort of super attack, limit break, etc. Though of course here there isn't heat meter or rage meter or anything like that. It's, though you could argue differently for Heathcliff in particular. The only requirement is the ego resources to trigger it in the first place. If you can't use an ego skill, then you'll just have to guard against it and hope for the best. Though each Clash word has their own chances of winning. Like for dominating, it estimates a 90% or greater chance of winning. Favored, I believe, is 60 to 90. Neutral is 40 to 60. Struggling is 10 to 40, I believe. And hopeless is 10% or less. Typically, struggling or hopeless... Typically, it works out like this. Dominating means unless you roll all tails and the enemy rolls all heads, you're probably not gonna lose, and sometimes not even then you still might win. Favored generally means as long as you don't completely fumble it, you'll probably win unless you do exceptionally poorly and the enemy does exceptionally well. Neutral means it could go either way. Struggling means you have to do pretty good and the enemy has to do pretty bad in order for you to win. And hopeless generally means that unless the enemy gets hit with some debuffs or gets staggered beforehand, you're gonna lose even if you're rolling all heads and the enemy's all tails.
폭들을 제거하겠소.
The SP cost is consumed the moment the ego skill begins its attack. Be warned, letting a sinner's SP drop too low may cause them to panic or become corroded by their ego. Though notably, this doesn't happen if they're only equipped with base ego or no ego at all. Though I don't think you can remove their base ego.
이 안에 담아주지.
For the record, what happens if a sinner reaches negative 45 sanity with no ego other than their base equip forces them to go into panic, which is usually preferable to them corroding into some super powerful indiscriminate ego, but at the cost that they'll basically skip a turn entirely, while even an indiscriminate ego attack can still target the enemy, even if it'll target your sinners as well. Raising an ego skill spread spinning tier unlocks its ego passive. Once a turn in which this unit used the ego skill ends and the battle moves to the next turn, the skill's unique ego passive will activate. You can view detailed information about ego passives in each sinner's detailed info menu.
출진이다! 예술이 뭔지 보여주지.
I'm gonna go ahead and use his ego skill again just to show something off, because you'll probably need this later on in the game. While normal combat generally can't be skipped or fast forwarded, ego skills can be sped up by holding down the mouse button.
예술이 뭔지 보여주지. 아름답진 않네.
쉽네.
깔끔한 전투였어요. 적의 모든 급소를 파악했거든요.
Another lunacy boost. Guides. We will learn about ego overclocking in this encounter. For this purpose, you'll be granted temporary access to one of Sinner Ryoshu's ego. Let's try equipping Ryoshu with this ego. Select the top part of the portrait card. Select the Ego tab. Select the Ego. Trial. View all equipped Ego here. If I'm not mistaken, this is one that new players got for free if they were part of the onboarding process. View all equipped Ego here. Let's return to the team loadout menu. Use the ego resource required to use the deployed sinner's equipped ego and the amount of ego resource your deployed sinner's skills can generate here. Let's begin the encounter using your choice of deployed sinners and ego.
길게 끌 거 없어. 바로 간다.
도착했다. 역시 카로는 길을 알았던 거야.
We're here. Carol knew the way all along.
역시는 무슨 역시예요. 저랑 싱클레어 씨가 양쪽에서 얼마나 고생했는데.
No, you didn't. Sinclair and I had to steer you from both sides non-stop.
그래도 이제 동남쪽과 동북쪽을 구분할 수 있어서 다행이에요, 카론.
I'm glad that at least you learned to tell the difference between southeast and northeast, Carol. So this is the old Elcor?
저도 직접 보는 건 처음이네요. 그 일이 있고 나서 시간이 오래 지나진 않았을 텐데요.
This is my first time seeing it with my own eyes too. It can't have been long since that happened.
세상에, 어떻게 건물이 이 모양일 수가 있죠?
My goodness, how can a building be in such a derelict state?
부잣집 도련님한테는 익숙하지 못한 광경인가 보군.
This is a surprising scene for a rich boy, is it?
잡담은 그만. 하차한다.
Cut the chatter. Time to step off. There are people over there.
유리 씨와 같은 사무소의 해결사분들이에요.
They're fixers from the same office as Miss Yuri.
엘사 지부에 이미 몇 번이나 방문한 적이 있는 경험자들이죠.
They're experienced explorers who have visited the branches of L4 a number of times. You can't fool me.
인사하지. 왼쪽에 있는 분은 홉킨스 씨, 그리고 오른쪽에 계시는 분이 아야 씨다.
Give your greetings. The person on the left is Hopkins and the one on the right is Aya.
안녕하십니까.
Now that's a pretty nifty looking gun. Greetings. And that's a crossbow? The
붉은 시선님, 직접 만나뵐 수 있어서 정말 영광입니다. 소문으로만 익히 들어왔었는데 이렇게 직접.
The Red Gaze. It's such an honor to meet you. I've heard so many stories of your deeds, and to see you in person.
아,
Yeah.
저 앞에 허름한 창고 보이지? 안쪽에 지하로 내려가는 계단이 있다.
See the shabby warehouse there? That's where the stairs leading down to the branch facility are.
계단부터는 여기 유리 씨가 맡을 거고.
From there, Yuri here will be your guide.
네.
Yeah.
여기 해결사 분들도 경력직이니 돌발 상황에는 잘 대처해 줄 거야.
These fixers have been around a bit. Count on them to handle complications.
이만하면 되었겠지. 내 동행은 여기까지다. 버스에서 너희들을 기다리고 있겠어.
That should be enough, yeah? This is as far as I can accompany you. I'll be waiting back at the bus. Huh? Wait, what?
언제까지고 뒷바라지를 해주고 있을 거라 생각했다면 큰 오산입니다, 단테.
You're sorely mistaken if you expect me to babysit you forever, Dante.
혼자서 발 뻗고 쉬고 있겠다는 건가?
So you'll take a back seat and idle away all alone?
애당초 내가 동행하면 너희들은 관광하러 내려가는 거나 다를 바가 없지 않겠나?
If I get myself involved, the expedition will be a little too free of challenge, wouldn't it? It'd turn into more of a tour.
한마디로 실컷 쥐어 터지고 썰리고 오라는 거군.
In other words, you want us to come back red, black, and blue.
보통 저렇게 말하면 항상 다른 꿍꿍이가 있던데.
That's the kind of line people with ulterior motives say.
편한 대로 생각해.
Think whatever you want. In this case, it can't really be helped.
특별히 가이드 분까지 붙여줬으니 잘 해내고 오라고.
I've gotten you guides and everything, so do your best down there.
네, 잘 해내고 오겠습니다. 붉은 시선님.
Yes, I certainly won't disappoint you, Mr. Redgate.
최선을 다해보긴 할게요.
I'll try my best, I think. In this encounter, we will learn about more advanced usage of ego. Tsuneryoshi will begin with a higher SP value for demonstration purposes. Every ego skill, except for base ego skills, can be overclocked. Press and hold Sitna Ryoshu's portrait to bring up the list of her ego. We've also been provided with some resources. Let's first try using Ryoshu's newly acquired Ego Awakening skill. You can change the sinner's sin resistances by using their ego. Check the sin affinities of enemy skills and use an appropriate ego to adjust your resistances and gain an advantage. It used to be that all ego skills increased your resistances but didn't decrease any. So if you used all your ego, you will be considerably tougher than you would be earlier. But they've since changed that for balancing reasons.
해보겠습니다.
이 불 또한 예술의 방울경이지.
제가 해낸 거 맞죠?
Let's use that ego skill again. It should be noted that Ego Awakening is simply using the skill normally. Corrosion is when the corroded version of the skill is used instead, either intentionally or not. Ego skills have a chance to corrode at lower SP values. Be warned, corrosion causes the sinner to use a corrosion skill, which attacks allies and enemies indiscriminately. You can view the corrosion chance here. Enjoy that. We did not start with that.
해보겠습니다. 해냈어요.
이 불 또한 예술의 방울경이지.
Reaching negative 45 SP will guarantee that the sinner enters Ego Corrosion state. In an Ego Corrosion state, the sinner will indiscriminately attack both allies and enemies. Scorched Girl, huh? You really don't get as enough of a chance to see those, as much detail goes into them as you'd like. I mean, granted, you almost never want to see them because it generally means, uh-oh, something bad is happening and it's going to happen even more now. But still, it's a shame. You know, I would like it if when you intentionally overclock Ego, you could just see your sinners burst into this state without the negative consequences. Just a thought. Yep, attacking him, but also attacking them.
명령대로 하겠습니다. 모든 것을 태우는 것. 모든 것을 태우는 것.
해냈어요. 순조로운 전략입니다.
How is he not dead? The sinner will recover from the Ego Corrosion state next turn and their FP will reset to 0. You know, I think that's the first time I've ever seen the corrosion for that skill. Awful pretty. Let's try the Ego Overclock this time. Press and hold Ryoshu's portrait. Press and hold the Ego skill card to Ego Overclock it. Using Ego Overclock forces a sinner to use the corrosion skill of the Ego. If you have enough resources to use the Overclocked Ego skill, it will activate as a stable Overclock. If not, it will activate as an unstable Overclock. Stable Overclock. Activating Stable Overclock consumes 1.5 times resources, including SP, compared to a non-overclocked Ego, but it does not target allies. Warning, even a stable Overclock can corrode your sinners if their SP value is low, especially since an Overclock still takes out more sanity, 1.5 times. Unstable Overclock. Activating Ego Overclock without enough resources will trigger Unstable Overclock instead. Unstable Overclock targets both allies and enemies indiscriminately, like Ego Corrosion, and any insufficient Ego resources will go into the negative.
예술이 뭔지 보여주지. 모든 것을 태우는 것을. 고작 이 정도로 들떠한다면 예술가의 자격은 없는 거지.
You're not a true artist if this is enough to rouse you. I'm pretty sure those guys at the end just died because it was part of the tutorial pack. Grade 8 fixes. Let's learn how to view the detailed information on your equipped identities in Ego. Press and hold Sinner Yiseng's portrait. Here, you can view the selected sinner's detailed information and upgrade them. Select the tab here to view the selected identity and Ego's detailed information. Use this button to level up the selected identity. Use this button to uptide the selected identity. Identities get stronger with each level up and uptide tier. Please verify your identity's levels and uptide tiers prior to starting an encounter. Now let's check the detailed info for this Ego as well. You can view this Ego's detailed information here. Select the tab here to view the detailed information for Ego. These are the resources required to use the Ego skill. The amount of SP spent when using this Ego skill is displayed here. When using an Ego, the Sinner's affinity resistances will be changed as follows. Varies for each Ego. Use this button to thread spin, upgrade the selected Ego. Upgrade Ego skills by thread spinning the Ego. It is recommended that you thread spin. Please note that base Ego thread spinning tiers will be raised automatically as you progress through the story. Please review the manual accessible here for more information. Upties upon clearing Canto 1. Progress thread spin. I've never seen that before. When hit by an attack, gain 3 bind next turn and deal plus 20% damage. When attacking with a type or affinity the target is weak or fatal to, once per turn. Ooh.
빨리 끝내고 밥 먹으러 가자고.
단테, 잠깐 나 좀 보시죠.
Dante, a moment with me, please. While the team was busy exchanging greetings, Virgilius called me to a secluded place.
미리 말해두자면 저들은 8급 해결사입니다.
Let me tell you in advance that they're only grade 8 fixes. Grade 8?
서열이 낮은 심부름꾼이라는 뜻입니다.
It means they're low-rank drudges, errands being their main tasks.
저들을 이용은 하되 의존하려 하지 말아야 할 겁니다.
Use them for your benefit, but don't rely on them. I can't count on them to deal with everything for us, in other words. I nodded to let him know that I understood his point.
어쩌면 그 버스 안에서 제대로 대화라는 걸 할 수 있는 건 당신뿐일지도 모르겠어.
You might be the only one on the bus I could actually converse with.
문을 빕니다. 단테.
Well, best of luck, Dante. Virgilius pat my shoulder with a bitter smile before slowly making his way back to the bus.
그 누구도 볼 수 없게. 다음은 침묵을 안고.
생각보다 잘 들어갔네.
금방 다녀올게.
불타올랐군요. 좋은 결정. 부드럽게.
침묵을 안겨드리죠.
딱 좋은 결정. 좋은 결정. 불타올랐군요.
완전한 침묵.
딱 좋은 결정. 압도했습니다. 제 기존 검술보다 한층 더 향상된 기술을 쓸 수 있었다고 생각합니다. 시청자의 수가 대폭 증가하겠군요.
Unfortunately, we have gone past 2 hours, so we will not be finishing the dungeon today. We will save it for its own special video. That said, I do thank you for joining me on this journey today, and I do hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Seeing as the next video will only be the dungeon, I may see fit to accelerate it in the production schedule so that it comes out sooner. We will see. Once again, do take care. Oh boy, I didn't expect it to take this long. Like, I expected to get the entire Canto done today, but we crossed the 2-hour mark just as we finished everything except the dungeon portion at the end, and I'm not sure how to feel about that. Like, wow. Still though, I've been having fun, and it's been great to walk down memory lane like this. That said, I do have to say that the majority of that time was just me doubling the length of all of the story portions by reading everything out loud. So I have to know. If you would be interested in watching more of this, would you like me to continue reading all dialogue, stick to non-sinner dialogue, aka only the narrative dialogues in between portions, usually Dante's own inner thoughts, or stay silent and only speak when I have my own input to offer, like when I was reminiscing about my initial experiences with the game? Do let me know below. Otherwise, we won't dally any longer. It's been fun, guys, and I can't wait to show you more. Carmen, take it away. Thank you. Good night.